Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Ghost Terminal. I just wanted to quickly share with you how to create a water decal to place in your scene. It's just an easy way to get some flowing water added to simple meshes like floors, ceilings, and walls. This just simulates like if you have a leak or something coming down from the ceiling, as I've done here in this simple scene. As you see, you can see the water flowing down here and then across the floor. So obviously you're going to want to tweak this to match your scene, to match your textures or your materials and your meshes. What I've done here is added an alpha mask to mask where the water and this algae moss texture is placed and the path that it follows. So since this is a decal and it's just projected onto this mesh, the material here on the floor is rough, which also translates to being dry. And then you can see here that the water only shows up in this this mask. And for the best results with that, you want to use organic shapes like grime textures, things like that, and try to make them look organic, so that way wherever water's flowing, that's where you know, algae and grime and that type of stuff like moss and algae, that's where it builds up, is where the water flows the most. So you'll get this nice contrast to a lighter amount, to maybe the water doesn't hit here as much as it does constantly flowing over the middle here, this path. As you can see here, I've just resized them. You want to resize them and shape them how you want to fit your meshes. Alright, let's get into the material itself. Now, if you know how to create a material, you know how to create water material and a decal already, this should be simple for you, because all you're doing is combining those. And what you would do is just right click, create material. I've already got them created, so I'm just going to open it up. And then what you want to do is make sure nothing's selected, which you can just click off here to the side somewhere on the grid, and then change your material domain to deferred decal, then your blend mode to translucent, and your decal to decal blend mode to translucent. I think this one's actually already translucent by default. You'll need to change both of these. Then from there you want to set the color of your water, and I just have a 1 constant set to 0.3 to give me this grayish color. And then you'll click a couple of 1 constants, and then for your metallic and specular you just set it to a value of 1, and then your roughness set it to a value of 0. And then this texture, as I was saying before, this drives the path and the location of the water for the decal, and so I've used the alpha channel to make a opacity mask for it. So as you can see, it disappears here in the back, or wherever this texture is not, and you can see the texture here. So this is transparent, and this is where the texture shows up, so it'll follow this path only. And moving on to making water here, you just want to grab a couple of normals. You can just Google water normals, That's very easy to make too. It's just noise basically, and then you can blur it and blow it up and then convert it to a normal map or whatever. What you're going to do is just blend those together with the lerp node and just click on L or hold L and then right click or left click, sorry, and you'll get a lerp node. And then you'll blend those together. You'll keep the alpha channel here at 0.5. That way they're both blended together and they're both showing up, and then you connect that to your normal. And then what I've done here is well, what you want to do is have a good amount of contrast between these textures, so it just doesn't look like one texture or one moving texture. You want them to contrast each other with their speed and their size. So what I've done is taken a panner node, and the way you get that is you can either search or right click and just type in panner and you'll get a panner node. I don't think, okay, you can just hold P and click and you'll get a panner node. What you want to do is set up the speed, which is X is horizontal and Y is vertical. So what I've done is I've set the X to 0.05 and the Y to -0.09. That way, while it's falling, or it appears that it's moving, you know, downwards vertically, it's also going at a diagonal. And I've done the same thing with this, but slowed the speed down so it falls slower, and then it falls the opposite diagonal, so that way they can both textures look like they collide while they're falling. So it gives you this nice contrast. As you can see here, this is falling this way, this is falling this way, one's slower, one's faster. And then to add to that contrast, you want to size your textures, make sure these are seamless and tileable. And then this one I've times by 3 here. And then this one I've times by 6. Now, you really want to set up parameters and convert this material to an instance. That way you don't have to keep coming back in here and changing, you know, attributes and stuff. It can just be easily done within an instance, material instance. But that's all you got to do. You can follow this exact example that I've shown, and then after you've saved it or whatever, then you can play with it if you want, and then try to change it up however you like. This is just what I did really quickly. So once you do that, you apply it, save it. And then you just go ahead and drag it out to your scene here. And as you can see, it doesn't work as a material now because we've changed it to a decal. And so you can see that texture that I was talking about drives the location of the water and also the color of the grime itself. And obviously you would, you know, take your time and create one of these yourself and make sure that, you know, maybe you don't have all of this. You just erase this and make your texture look good. And the orientation of the decal itself, when you place it, you want to make sure that that purple arrow is facing, well, it's facing the opposite way of the face that you're setting the decal on, if that makes sense. So like here, it's facing down, and then here it's facing off to the side here to the left, and so the decal is facing to the right, if that makes sense. And that's the way you orientate the projection of the decal itself. If not, it won't look right. So I'm going to show you. So you can see that it starts to distort if you don't have it oriented correctly. And not only that, if I have this flipped all the way around and projected this way, the color itself won't be correct. So it's much darker now. So you want to make sure that you get that oriented correctly when you put it on your mesh. And that's all you got to do, guys. Just you can resize this. Obviously you don't need this huge box for a wall, so what I've done here is just resize these, as you can see, and that's it. It's that easy. You can also do this with anything really, just posters and pictures and like scratches and grime itself, stuff like that. You can use decals for, but they work best on walls and things like this, obviously, because they can't, they're limited to how they can project onto a surface. Now in this, it actually projects just fine, but you're never going to get this close to this object. The character's never going to get his face this close to the object, but even so, it still does a good job of bending. And this is not a normal map. This is actually in the mesh itself, this dip here. Alright guys, that's it. That's how you create a water decal, and then you can just add it to your level. I did this for another level to add just some simple, just like this, just to add some simple water leaking from a ceiling, add some holes in it and stuff. So if maybe it's raining outside your level and you have some houses and stuff that are decayed and dilapidated with holes and stuff, then you can just obviously have that rain coming through and then this pouring down the walls to show that the house is flooding and stuff like that. It's just a real simple way to do that. Really the preferred way though is to, while you're creating your materials for your walls, you would actually just mask out the water, and that way it would do the exact same thing as this with a lerp and material mask, and then you would use your height map or whatever to drive your water material. But that's it guys, I hope that helps. If you guys get stuck or have any questions, let me know in the comments below and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, peace.